What's up, everybody? It's Brad and Andrew from Auto Off Topic. The coloring contest is back, and now much improved thanks to super listener Frank Eck. The contest is simple. Complete one of the pages of the coloring book found on our Facebook page or the Auto Off Topic Coloring Contest Facebook page in any of two mediums. Digital, using any computer program, or analog, be it colored pencil, marker, crayon, watercolor, however you choose. One entry counted per medium per person. Each individual can have a total of 2 entries, one per format. There will also be 2 age groups, age 15 and below and ages 16 on up. Links to the coloring book pages can be found on our Facebook page and the Facebook page for the coloring contest.
Electronic entries, including scanned entries, can be sent to us via email, autoofftopiccpodcast@gmail.com. Paper copies can be sent by snail mail to Auto Off Topic Podcast Contest, 83 Lakeshore Drive, Georgetown, Massachusetts, 01833. Note, all hard copies received will not be returned, period. The contest runs through November 30th.
The companies and owners groups donating prizes are Mitsubishi Motors North America, Adventure Driven Design, Forest Performance, Palladian Trucks, Northeast Mitsubishi 4x4, Mitsubishi Montero Owners Group of the USA, Florida Mitsubishi 4x4, and Mitsu Nation Facebook group.
Please enjoy this free contest, and don't forget, entries must be postmarked by November 30th, 2017. Good luck. All right, get some fresh Polar Seltzer here for us, because we're a podcast of the people. We don't drink LaCroix crap.
We don't actually. You know, I had a LaCroix the other day.
Yeah.
And it's really crappy.
Yeah?
It just says no artificial sweeteners on it, but it's way too sweet to not have some kind of sweetener in it. It's not good. It's not good. If you don't live in an area of the country where you can get Polar Seltzer water, you just probably shouldn't drink seltzer water.
No, this stuff's great.
That's far superior. Even this weirdly, oddly named Dragon Whisper.
They have another one that's coming out. It's like Yeti something.
I saw that one the other
And then
day.
I had Mermaid Kisses like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, plus we had the super fancy one around Christmas time.
Oh, yeah, we got to keep an eye out for the fancy Christmas one.
Yeah, because I'm going to play the jerk move and buy a bunch and sell them on eBay for $20 like everybody was.
There you go.
Anyway.
So welcome to episode 52 of Auto Off Topic.
We titled Polar Seltzer.
Yeah. Not sponsored
Not sponsored by Polar Seltzer, but Polar Seltzer Snobs.
Yes. So, this is the first one where I am off the market. I was before, but now it's legally.
Yes, all you single ladies that were really hoping that Andrew's long-term relationship just didn't work out.
Yeah.
None of you.
Well, all the 3 that we know already listened to the show.
Right. There's at least 3 females listen to the show. Maybe 4.
Actually, I think we met all of them. Maybe.
I think we knew all of them before the show started. Anyway, I'm sure there are more. If you're a female listener, Andrew's off the market. We apologize.
Yes.
And if you're a male listener who's into that, Andrew is off the market as well. So it doesn't matter either way.
We don't discriminate.
We don't discriminate. We're okay with anybody listening to our podcast.
Yeah, so I got married over the weekend, and you were there.
I was.
Yes.
I was there actually in an official capacity. So not only are we podcast co-hosts, but I was also your best man.
Yes.
So that was fun.
That was a lot of fun. But you know what else Saturday was?
This is the nerdiest thing we've ever done, possibly ever. There are 2 really nerdy things that happened on Saturday. One of them is, while the bridal party was getting ready for the wedding, we detailed your car.
Because we used it afterwards to take some after-wedding photos.
Oh, absolutely.
Which
I understand why we did it.
The photographers were super into. They were really excited. Yeah, they were totally
something different than what they're used to, probably.
Yeah. So that I'm sure I'll get those soon, and I'll share some of those.
Yeah, I really can't wait to see those.
Yeah.
I
don't care about the ceremony. I want to see us with our car.
Yeah, well, this is why we do an automotive podcast, Andrew. There's Ollie knocking on the bottom of the table with his tail. Ollie, get out of here.
Big bone tail.
Yeah. But yeah, also on Saturday was K-Day.
Yes.
This is the nerdiest thing you've ever done, is go to a K-Day on your wedding day.
Well, we got up, we had breakfast, that makes it sound like we were in the same place.
We were not.
We met for breakfast.
Yes, we got
local
up.
Diner.
You waited at the local diner for me because I'm late for everything.
Yeah.
And I showed up there, which actually, Little Depot Diner in PBD, we will plug because they're amazing and they're very friendly.
And then we were like, what do we do? Because there was quite a few hours of nothing to do.
Right, because guys take 32 seconds to get ready for anything.
Yeah,
and women take
to shave
a bit
on.
longer doing their makeup and their hair and all that stuff. And we're pretty low maintenance here.
Yeah, and they looked way nicer than us. So.
Oh, well, I mean, that's just a given. I mean, that's not even... I think every wedding guest looked nicer than we did because we were just nervous and sweating and gross the whole time, probably.
It was crazy humid this weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty humid.
I think it was probably the most humid it's ever been because we were getting like outer bands of that hurricane.
Yeah, it was the leftover of Hurricane something. Not Jose, that was today.
We were in between like Irma and Jose, and then it was like it was really, really humid and foggy in the morning, and then it got sunny like 2 hours before the ceremony, and we're like, sweet, because it was outside.
And then the fog rolled in during
because it was near the ocean.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool, actually, the way the fog rolled in from before the ceremony started until afterwards.
But before that, it was just a gray, rainy, depressing Saturday, so we decided to make it even worse by going to a K Mart.
Right, that's what K-Day is. K-Day is a special day where K Mart gets exclusive Hot Wheels cars that are only sold there. And this is super nerdy of us to even talk about this, let alone do it on Andrew's wedding day. But we had good reason. Because the very specific Hot Wheels cars that we collect are generally old Japanese cars and old German cars. And they were releasing an exclusive RX-7 pairing of a first-gen and a last-gen RX-7. So, yeah, we decided to go to the closest Kmart that we knew of in Saugus, Massachusetts.
Yep, and there was nothing. No K-Day.
No, there were like 7 Hot Wheels cars total in the whole store.
Yeah.
Kmart is gross. That's all I have to say. We're definitely not going to ever plug Kmart because it's an awful place. It's basically, it looks like an abandoned Walmart at this point.
I have no sympathy for Kmart because clearly stores like Target and Walmart have managed to stay relevant in the internet age. So,
yeah, it's a valid point. Kmart's always been kind of like a bottom rung, I think, anyway. So.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe not because they used to sponsor Indy cars back in the 80s and 90s.
True.
So they must have had some money at some point. But anyway, apparently we learned that if the Kmart is on the chopping block, as a lot of them are, then they don't even get the K-Day Hot Wheels cases. So we drove all the way over there, and apparently our local Kmart is one of the next ones to be shut down, which also explains the acres and acres of empty shelves. So we didn't even get it. So all that, and we didn't even get our K-Day cars.
Yep. So, before I can enjoy my amazing wedding, we had to visit a completely depressed Kmart.
Yes, it just made your wedding day that much nicer.
Yeah, it was like, oh, look at this, compare and contrast here. Like,
yeah, it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good.
So then we were like, we got some time. Let's go. It was on Kmart was off of a highway. You have to go south.
Yep.
Then you have to turn around to go back to where we came. So it's a divided highway.
Generally how directions work.
Well, it's a divided highway, I should say.
Yes.
So on the way back, we passed by a brand new Walmart, which is probably why this poor Kmart's going out of business.
Could be.
And they had nothing really good for
diecast cars. Yes.
Yeah.
So now
they had a Race Day RX-3, the yellow and green one.
Yep.
I grabbed that one. That was about it.
Yep. So now, before Andrew's wedding day, we have done the Kmart and now Walmart tour.
Yeah.
So where do we take off to next?
Well, then we were like strolling along, and this lady was going through this bin, and there's like these mascot heads because it's near like Halloween.
Yep.
And apparently they're like a Walmart exclusive. They're like I don't know, like animal heads or something.
I don't know. They were pretty cool looking. And actually, if you look at our Instagram page, there's a picture of me wearing the tiger head.
Yeah. So we're like,
you could hear a picture. Andrew snapping the shot is going, "You tiger now!"
Yeah.
From the commercial a few years back.
Yeah. Brad was like, "Oh, those are pretty cool," and I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." And then we started to walk away, and then I was like, "Wait." We have a photo booth at the wedding. That would be really fun.
And it was.
So we go and we look in the bin, and this Walmart has like nothing left of the cool ones because there was like a shark head and stuff.
Yeah, there was a shark on the side of the box we could see, and they had the tiger, so we just bought the tiger.
Yeah. So long story short, like 3 Walmarts later, we found the ones we wanted.
Oh, we found the shark that you wanted, but they also had an unadvertised T-Rex head.
Yeah.
Which was even cooler than
T-Rex
the rest of them.
or Velociraptor head, whatever you wanted. It was a dinosaur head.
I'm going to go with T-Rex.
So that was pretty cool. Definitely save those. We'll do something with them afterwards.
Oh, I'm sure we will. So was that the end of our department store tour before Andrew's wedding?
Yeah, because the day before I went to Target and grabbed some final gifts from the rest of my groomsmen, and I basically cleared out the local Target of all the race day cars they had.
it's the special ones, the Acura NSX,
I didn't have those, so I grabbed doubles of them.
RX-3, 35, 962.
Gave some of my doubles away, and a couple other Hot Wheels cars, as well as some of them got Exploding Kittens.
Oh, the card game?
Yep.
I didn't even see that.
Some of them got socks and some Beeline coffee, which was cool.
Oh, yeah. I saw Jordan got some Beeline.
Yep.
That's good.
And I gave him the Overland one. That was appropriate.
Appropriate for him, yeah.
Yep. And what did I give you?
Something pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah.
A vintage set of amber fog lights, like German-style, chrome-bezeled, full steel glass-lensed amber driving lights for the 78 Colt, which we're going to pull in the garage this winter and kind of do a full makeover.
Yeah, I don't know what brand they are. They do say made in Japan on the back of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they are either, but they're really cool looking, and they're going to look really cool in the car because they're very period correct.
And they already had like patina on them. I was like, oh, those are perfect.
Yeah, you thought they were perfect, and I thought they were perfect. Some of the guests at the dinner were like, there's a box of junkyard car parts being given to Brad for a gift for the wedding, for his being the best man. But there was definitely a purpose behind it, and I thought it was awesome, and I expect nothing less from Andrew. So
Yep.
I like that a lot. Thank you very much, Andrew.
You're welcome.
Definitely look good in the car.
Well, thank you. Oh, and then so this is why. So then, like the one really funny story is that we just through miscommunication or lack of communication, we just kind of. I assumed that Stephanie had the rings. It was like classic movie thing, and she assumed that I had the rings.
Right.
And so we're going around all day Saturday, sweet, we have nothing to do. Let's just clean the car and like hang out, and then we'll get dressed at my house, and we'll go over there. And like, Brad's like, do you have the rings? I was like, no, she's got the rings. It's cool. We're totally good.
Because the best man, literally my only job is to make sure the rings were there.
So we get there, and they're like, the rings? We're like, no. Like, well, we're doing it live.
We had a little Home Alone situation with the rings, a little miscommunication.
So anyway, there was a pretty sweet like pantomime or whatever do you want to call it?
You call it a pantomime.
Yeah.
I acted out handing you guys rings. You acted out putting them on each other's fingers.
And we fooled everyone.
We fooled everybody except for the fact that I was laughing, and I regret laughing. But it was really hard not to laugh.
Well, I kind of turned you away from everyone, and I was winking one eye. I was like, all right, we're doing this.
Right, which is why I was laughing, and I couldn't help it. And a few of your guests / friends, mutual friends, gave me a little bit of a razzing afterwards for laughing, because they said they wouldn't have noticed if I didn't laugh. But so, whatever.
It was pretty slick. It doesn't matter because we have now.
It affects nothing.
Actually, the metal one already dropped between the seats in one of the cars. I haven't fished it out yet.
Awesome.
I've just been wearing one of those, the active ones, the silicone ones.
Yeah, which is better off.
They're way more comfortable.
So anyway, Andrew, what is this week's topic?
We're going to do some listener questions because we haven't done it in a long time.
That's right, we are. And we have quite a few, actually, thanks to our listeners.
Yes. We're going to start with Instagram. And this is possibly one of my favorite questions we've ever gotten.
Yes. Thanks, Eric.
Yes.
Are you going to read it?
I'll read it, yeah. So I didn't know you knew this person. I just know the Instagram name is Trackergrade. Trackergade. And he says, my girlfriend loves the way the Pontiac Aztek looks, hates the way every Volkswagen Golf looks, and says the first-gen Thunderbird is the prettiest car ever made. Should she still pursue an art career?
That is a really, really good question. I really hope that your girlfriend doesn't listen to the podcast, because that's a pretty definitive question.
So
right there.
A first-gen Thunderbird is like the 50s Thunderbird, right?
Now, I'm thinking he's saying 55, 6, and 7 Thunderbird, because they are pretty cars.
Because there was only one generation of the retro one.
And I don't know if that's what he's talking about or not. If he is talking about that one and the Pontiac Aztek and hates every Golf, then, I guess she could pursue a Jackson Pollock style art career. She doesn't need to be a complete realist. She can be a total impressionist.
To be fair, there isn't much styling to a Volkswagen Golf.
That is incorrect.
They're very utilitarian.
No, the first Golfs were Gregario design. Yeah, I'm going to screw the name up now.
Yeah, but they're like slab-sided. Like it's not.
Yeah, but they're beautiful in their simplicity.
Okay.
You can make something. You can make a box that's ugly, and then you can make a box that has the right angles and the right designs and the right creases to make it attractive. There's a reason that 78 Golf
looks better than a Yugo.
Looks better than a Yugo. Looks better than...
Even though they're all kind of that... like a Yugo is a generic
They
Golf.
may have the same general shape, but the Golf just has the right lines to pull it off. And there's definitely a lot of design in that. I'll argue that point forever.
Okay.
That not every
That's a
economy car is
first-gen
an
one,
economy
though.
car.
But like a Mark III Golf.
Hey, listen, every family has its black sheep. So the Golf family is the Mark III.
Then like
and I don't hate the Mark III either, but I just prefer it.
And like a Mark
less.
IV is kind of...
A Mark IV, now, they're owned by garbage people. Sorry, any listeners who listen, I drive Mark IVs. In general, they're owned by garbage people. And I used to own a couple of them, but back when they were newer. So maybe I should refrain from saying
I actually really like the current generation.
Okay, but let's go back to the Mark IV. The Mark IV is like the 97, 98 through 02. If you look at one of those cars, again, they're a basic 3-box design or 2-box design, but they have some curves to them. They have a little bit, this little fender flares, all 4 corners. They're a really good looking car. They're a really well designed car. I disagree with your statement, Andrew.
Okay.
There is no excuse for the Pontiac Aztec. However,
if it didn't have to have Pontiac's family design language, it might have been able to be a better
Aztec
looking.
Was ahead of its time. That's all.
Yeah,
it fits in with today's CUVs, but back when it came out, it was kind of a radical departure and didn't really take off. I don't think it's the ugliest car ever made.
No, you know what? I will defend the Pontiac Aztec because you know what I think is even uglier is the Buick version of it.
The Rendezvous, because
Yes.
it tries to use normal car parts to hide the Aztec design language.
Yes.
I agree. That's a tacked-on garbage car.
That is an even uglier car.
I have to take back by saying that Volkswagen is driven by garbage people because I realized after I said it that I own 2 of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All I can think of when I think of one now is the H2O crowd causing problems down in Maryland.
Yeah, which apparently was canceled or some stupid
It was
reason.
canceled this year, yeah.
Who knows?
But yes, she should still pursue an art career. She should just be ready for heavy criticism and future fame with Jackson Pollock fans.
Okay.
Good question, though. That was I legitimately laughed out loud at my desk when I read that today at work. So, next question is from BizPiz. The best story you have of being let down or stranded by one of your cars. Being part of the Mitsubishi lifestyle, enthusiasts, I know this happens. My Galant did not make it home from the Black River stages due to a snapped clutch fork. But on the flip side, my good friend let me borrow his 92 Miata, and that's been a blast to drive. So, what's your best story of being let down by one of your cars?
Probably the one last summer that we talked about before where the 89 fuel pump died 100 yards from like a parts store.
Yeah, we've had this. I have a similar question we had before.
Yeah.
I don't know when my best story I have is. Have I told the story of the thermostat on the Sapporo?
No, I don't think so.
Because that was a pretty good one.
I think the greatest victory we had was fixing the Stereo alternator in North Carolina.
Yeah, that's actually the best story.
With the hand tools.
Yeah, that's definitely the best story.
Yeah.
So we went to US 129 Tail of the Dragon.
Yep.
And the alternator let go in the Starion, and the car...
On a Monday morning.
Yes, it was a Monday morning.
Yeah.
Conquest, I should say, because it wasn't the Starion. It was the 87 Conquest. Yeah. Same car, obviously. But we went to the Napa. We pulled over in a municipal parking lot. It was like where the city's dump trucks park.
Something like that. Because we were going to get breakfast.
Yeah, so we didn't get breakfast in the morning. Yeah. So we pull over the parking lot. We diagnose the fact that, yes, it is the alternator. So we ripped the alternator out of the car on the side of the road, which, if you're unfamiliar with
basic hand tools.
Very basic hand tools, yeah. If you're not familiar with a Starion alternator, it is at the very bottom of the engine bay.
And luckily your car did not have working AC, and somebody had left the compressor out, so it was not in the way.
It was one less thing in the way out of many things that are in the way. So we got it out from the top on the side of the road, didn't even jack the car up. Didn't even have to jack the car up, so that was good. Wound up going to Napa down the street. Was it a Napa? I think it was a Napa.
Yeah. What did they say it was?
And we pulled in, and we're like, yeah, we got a 87 Conquest, Chrysler Conquest. And he's looking through the parts catalog, and he's like, nope, you mean Concorde? And we're like, no, we definitely mean Conquest. I don't know what that is. I got one here for a Concord. We're like, nope.
What do you call some guy? A fat Mexican? He's like,
it was some name like that to go see the fat Mexican down the street at another shop. So we did.
Or the guy was working in Napa or something.
I don't even remember.
He's like, where you go? Like, ask like Fat Mexico or something.
Oh yeah, no. We looked for directions, and he said, ask the fat Mexican. That's what it was. Yeah.
He like worked there.
Yeah, like, what? Who's the fat Mexican? And the guy turned around, who was clearly the fat Mexican, but I wouldn't have called him that. But, since it was the accepted vernacular for him, I went along with it. And they wound up sending us to a rebuild shop.
Yeah, about 45 minutes away.
Yeah, so we had your Gallant as well. So we jumped in your Gallant. Learned quickly that you can't order a coffee with light cream.
Yep.
Because they're going to make it with heavy cream, because apparently light to them means color.
Yep.
And went over to the alternator rebuild shop and waited there for probably 3 hours. It was a long time.
It was a while.
Yeah, we sat around looking at his racist wall hangings, which was fun. And
like an old van bench seat. It was like the waiting area.
Yeah, it was like an old rear, like a third or fourth row from like a
I think it was like, oh, you guys can
line.
leave it. We're like, can we wait for it?
Yeah, he seemed a little disappointed.
Here.
Yeah,
we're not from around here.
But there was a lot of questionable paraphernalia on the walls. A lot of very off-color jokes posted everywhere. It was definitely a.
Regardless, he made it work.
He did. For despite his strange political opinions and strange opinions on people of other races and genders, he's a pretty damn good alternator mechanic because he got the alternator put back together for us for, I think it was like $42. Wasn't something stupid cheap that too? It was stupid cheap. So we paid him, we gave him some extra money just for helping us out, and drove back to the car, hoping it wasn't towed because it was clearly in a bad spot, and put it back in and finished our road trip. So that's probably the best story, I would say.
I remember we found some Mexican restaurant to eat lunch and just like washing all the grease off.
In the bathroom there. Oh, actually, last time I was in that area, I drove by to go back to that Mexican restaurant, and it's not there anymore.
Oh, okay.
No, it's like a Pizza Hut or something. Oh. Very disappointing. I was looking forward to eating there. It was a soccer-themed Mexican restaurant, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. It had a bunch of TVs playing different soccer games around the world. But, yeah, I wanted to go back, and it wasn't there, so unfortunately. But, yeah, that's the brakes. Them's the brakes when driving old cars. I don't think it's specifically Mitsubishis. I think that we just have a lot of stories about Mitsubishis because we drive Mitsubishis, and the Mitsubishis that we drive are all old.
Yep.
So I think it's just all old cars in general. Second part of your thing there, 92 Miata, blast to drive? Absolutely.
Yes.
You won't find a more fun car for $2,000.
Nope.
So my father just bought another one because he loves them. So I haven't driven it yet, but I'm sure it's a blast.
All right. So next question. We get Yeti Overland, and he says, at what point of repair do you let a garage or mechanic do all the work? Example being, it takes a press and special tool to change out rear wheel bearings on a Tacoma. The labor difference between dropping off axles and having the shop perform the job completely is 1.5 hours of labor, 3 hours versus 4.5 hours total. Would you eat this 1.5 hours and just not have to touch the example wheel bearings? This is just an example, not saying I toasted my wheel bearings driving it back home from Michigan, but I toasted my wheel bearings driving it back home from Michigan.
Yeah, we know that because one of your previous questions was, will you help me change the wheel bearings in my Tacoma?
Well, it was the gears originally, I think, were making noise, but
oh, was it?
Apparently the axle bearings at the end were going too.
I think based on that story, I would probably also let the shop do the whole job. If it's an hour and a half difference at that point,
it depends.
If I knew that ahead of time.
Well, it depends on your equipment that you have on hand. So if you've got if you have access to a 2-post lift and you can take the wheels off real easy and pop those axles out, then yeah, that's really what the difference is, right? So if you're trying to do this on your back, on jack stands, in your yard, yeah, sometimes it's easier just to bring it to a shop. But
yeah,
I'm not the greatest person to ask for this because I am like an advanced DIYer.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Andrew, the master home mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the self-certified internet
patting yourself on the back.
Master mechanic.
Which is, you say that, but you have a job wrenching on cars all day. So
this is true. On the internet.
I think that you're more.
I have a job on the internet.
I think that you're more than an amateur home mechanic, being as you get paid to do it every day. That makes you a professional mechanic.
I guess.
Yes. Regardless of whatever training you think there may need to be a professional mechanic, you are, by definition, a professional mechanic.
Okay, fair enough.
So, yes. I have the same kind of answer, though. I don't generally want to send it out to have it done unless I'm in a hurry. Short story, my big pickup, the Silverado, is broken currently. I am working as an appraiser at a car dealer at the moment, which happens to be a Chevy dealer. So I said, hey, I'll just get it to the Chevy dealer, and I'll have them bring it inside and fix it. So that was last Tuesday, and I only did this because Andrew's wedding was coming up, and there was a lot of other stuff going on, and I didn't want to have any downtime. So that was last Tuesday. It is now the following Wednesday, and the truck still hasn't gotten into the shop yet. So I'm actually just going to bring it home and fix it. That's quite annoying, actually.
Yep.
I think it's the case of just I'm an employee there, so they're kind of like, oh, he seems to have other transportation, so we're not going to work on his car.
Yeah.
And now I think even if they told me tomorrow they could take it in, I don't want to pay them to do it because the only reason I was going to pay them to do it was to save time. And now that it hasn't saved time, I'm pretty annoyed about it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have the truck for the weekend for your wedding, for moving things around if I had to.
Yeah.
And I didn't. So that's annoying.
Well, luckily we didn't. So
I mean, ultimately we didn't need it, but my goal was to have it. So it would have been nice.
Because we're lousy with Monteros here, we had plenty of space.
We're lousy with lousy Monteros.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great car. Please buy it. It's still for sale. $2,000.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It is a great car. Actually, it's not really lousy. It runs.
You've been driving it.
I've been driving it every day for the past week and a half.
Yeah. So
and it's been great. So
if you're in New England and you want a Montero, let us know.
If you're not in New England and you want a Montero, also let us know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I sold somebody else's Montero instead of yours last week.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sorry, Andrew.
I mean, it's going pretty cheap, pretty reasonable. So
yeah, $2,000 full maintenance history.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is not a car for sale podcast.
Whatever.
Let's move on to the next question. Throttle by cable. Your ultimate 3-car garage, but that's too easy. Each car could not cost more than $12,000. Go. I mean, Throttle by Cable listens to us, obviously, every week. He always asks questions. He should know that a sub $12,000 price tag is pretty much right in our wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make it that much more difficult.
No.
I mean, if he said sub $1,000 price tag,
man,
still probably wouldn't.
I can only imagine like the WRX is right around $5,000. And it's a really nice car.
Yep.
Like, man, what can I get for $12,000? That's gonna be like super nice.
Yeah, like a Bentley. Yeah, I think
we're used to buying $1,000 cars and
exactly.
fixing them up.
You what do you call it? Splurged for the $5,000 car,
yeah,
and it's been quite nice to you. Ultimate 3-car garage. I don't want to say they're all going to be Mitsubishis because that makes me too predictable. But you also gave me a $12,000 budget. I'm going to go with a Colt. One Colt, like my Blue 78 Colt, with a good amount of money to put into it to make it perfect, make it fast, make it fun. Mm-hmm. I'll go outside the lines a little bit. 68, 69 Mercedes sedan.
Okay.
Because that's a good cruiser. I really like those cars. The W, I'm not even going to say the number because other people will correct me because I don't know the name of them, but like I think they're like 230D, 230. I hate Mercedes name numbers because they're not names. But anyway, a late 60s, early 70s small bumper Mercedes-Benz sedan. You can buy those for sub
looking at me for help, and I'm like,
you have no
I'm
idea.
like, you're drowning, but I can't swim.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
so like one Colt is like a race car, one Mercedes is like a cruiser, and then I'd probably have a Montero. I'd import a turbo diesel Montero so I could do off-road stuff.
All right. So if each of the 3 cars can be $12,000 each,
but I want a Beetle too.
I would go with. I think I can import an AutoZam for $12,000 or less.
Yeah, right around there.
All right. So I want an AutoZam because I want a going car, but I think that's
weird goal.
Yeah, but I don't want a DeLorean, and obviously I can never afford an SL 300.
Oh, like a 55?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So I mean,
I don't think that fits in the $12,000 budget.
No, exactly. And I don't want. Was it a Bricklin had gull wings? What else had gull wings?
Bricklin had gull wings. DeLoreans had gull wings.
Yeah, I don't want a Bricklin or a DeLorean.
The Eclipse had gull wings in some markets.
I already have an Eclipse, so I'd go with the AutoZam.
Oh, wait, we can keep the cars we already have?
Oh, I don't.
We're adding 3 more to it?
I don't know if that's the.
Oh, see, now it's starting from scratch.
Yeah,
I
think
is the question.
Yeah, so I like the AutoZam. That's a really neat car. I love that like blue color one they have.
Yeah, well, our buddy up in Canada has one.
Yep, I'd be down with that. And then I know that you can still get Piero Evos for around that price.
They're not legal in this country yet, though. So by the time you had one legalized, it probably costs more.
Okay, all right. So then, like an early second-gen diesel Piero.
Short wheelbase, long wheelbase?
Long wheelbase.
Okay.
What else would I get? Oh, I'd go with something American. Can I get a late, like a mid-year, like pony car for around that? Like a Camaro or a Firebird?
You're talking like a first gen or a second gen?
Second gens.
You can get a late one, like a 77, 78, 79, 80, 81. Not the most pristine one, but a decent driver.
What can I get for like a muscle car around that price?
For $12,000, if you went with a like 66 to 70, there's 2 different body style there, or even 71, 72,
like a GM product,
like a Chevelle. But instead of buying a Chevelle, buy a Malibu, and you don't buy an SS, you just get a base model car.
Exactly, that's what I want.
You can buy one for sub $10,000, throw a motor in it, and have. But what you really should buy,
what's that?
Is a Corvair.
Oh, yeah.
I know you want the V8. That's where you're going with it here. But the Corvair is kind of like it's more auto off topic American car.
Yeah,
like it fits us more than a muscle car does. I love muscle cars. I have my Camaro. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't usually go out and be like, oh, that's a sweet 69 Chevelle. I need that car. But if I'm like, oh, that's a sweet 67 Corvair, I'm like, man, I want to own that tomorrow.
I really like late
it really fits our
70s Camaros. Is that like wrong?
Late 70s Camaros?
Yeah.
It's not wrong. I mean,
even with the big bumpers?
Well, they didn't have the big bumpers because Camaro and Firebird did it right. They had the urethane nose cones that hid the bumpers.
Oh, right.
If you want a big bumper Camaro, you're talking 74, 75, 76. Those are the aluminum bumpers. I don't hate them.
I feel like you could do some cool stuff with those if you took the bumpers off.
You can't take the bumpers off.
No?
Because there's a big gaping hole.
You do something.
So that is bad. Our phones are going off. Very professional, Andrew and Brad.
That's all right.
Obviously, it's the same person messaging us both, and it was.
All right. So I think that covers that, right?
I think so. But yeah, so if you wanted to go with a later model second-gen Camaro, you could.
Okay.
Just wouldn't be the cleanest car in the world, but you could buy one for $10,000 to $12,000. So I would say go ahead and do it.
Man, I haven't had some. I've got some leftover Boston Lager from people being in the house. I haven't had this in a while.
It's pretty flavorless.
Very good.
Yeah.
It used to be like this was your entry level, air quotes craft beer,
quote craft beer, yeah.
Right? And now it's just like,
now it's nothing. It's garbage. I don't understand the next question.
Maybe he's just asking what we've seen lately.
So, Kyusha Dan from Wasabi Cars, go follow him.
Yep.
Says, not too late, I hope. Car spotting, what did you see? Random street spots, should clarification be necessary. I'm not sure what he's talking about. I mean, I haven't seen anything lately. If he wants to know what I've seen.
Yeah, last week we saw those 2 FJ80s.
FJ60s.
FJ60s, right?
Yes.
We were driving.
Yep.
During the podcast.
I see a couple of cars every day, but nothing of note.
I haven't seen anything lately.
We talked about a few weeks ago. I talked about seeing that like mid-50s Ferrari 155 special.
I saw a late Cressida last week.
Yeah, I see one every day at my neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Like a 3rd gen or 4th gen Cressida.
Yeah, the real rounded ones.
Yep. Yeah, the 7M powered ones that fall apart. Yeah, I don't see very many.
Nothing cool.
Nothing of note. I mean, I see a lot of 60s muscle cars. You see a lot of, every now and then you see a Z car and RX-7, but there's nothing I've taken note of. There's a 500E kind of in my neighborhood of Mercedes. That's really cool. It's very radwood. It's like an aqua green and gray two-tone. And the 500E is the one with the cylinder heads and stuff designed by Porsche.
The problem is now when everybody says a 500E, I think of a Fiat 500
immediately. Yeah. No, I'm talking the early 90s Mercedes-Benz super sedan.
Okay.
So that makes a little old lady that drives it, and it's probably the original owner. And it has like chrome AMG hammer wheels, and it's very radwood. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next one?
Sure. Brian Driggs. What is the furthest... There's a few questions here. What is the furthest you've ever traveled to an automotive event? If you could go anywhere to any event, what would it be and where? How many gearheads do you know outside of North America? How many have you met? Have you considered doing so? How do vehicle mods impact resale value, and should they? So let's start with number one, Brian. This is a trick here. You get us to answer all these questions at once. We'll go with it. What's the furthest you've ever traveled to an automotive event? Andrew?
I think the furthest I've ever traveled, like by driving?
Just traveled in general.
Oh, traveled in general?
Yeah.
Then definitely...
Daytona.
I'd have to actually look what's further, Daytona or Prescott Rally.
Oh, Prescott Rally's definitely further. I forgot about that. It's 100% further. There's not even a question. It's a 6-hour flight to Prescott. It's a 2-hour flight to California.
All right. To Florida. Yeah, all right. That makes sense.
Florida, excuse me.
So there's that one.
Mine would be JCCS in Long Beach, because that's legitimately the opposite side of the country.
Yep.
I mean, Prescott's close, but Long Beach is further.
Well, you're on the Pacific Ocean, and here we're living on the Atlantic. So.
Yes, you couldn't go in. Like, the car show is actually at the furthest most point in Long Beach because it's on.
Like my wedding was on the Atlantic Ocean. Like.
Right, exactly. So, I would say JCCS, which for those who don't know, JCCS is Japanese Classic Car Show, and it's at the base of the Queen Mary.
All right, so if you go anywhere to any event, what would it be?
That's an easy question.
Where? Where'd you go?
Goodwood.
Goodwood?
Yep, the Festival of Speed.
I would do the Revival.
Either one. I mean...
Yeah, that's definitely high on the list.
It doesn't matter. The Revival doesn't have the hill climb, though, does it?
Nürburgring 24-hour. Yeah, but the Revival has on-track racing.
Oh, that's the one I want to go to.
Yeah, and everybody's in period dress.
So the Festival of Speed is not that. The Festival of Speed is the one that has the hill climb.
All from vintage to modern cars doing the hill climb.
Yeah, the Revival is all vintage.
Yes.
And they do wheel-to-wheel racing.
And everybody's in period dress.
And that's like hardcore wheel-to-wheel racing.
Yep.
That's what I want to do.
So I'd like that. I'd go to Race a Gentleman. That seems pretty cool.
See, I didn't say Race a Gentleman just because it's local enough that we can do it like next year without even trying. We should actually do it next year.
So,
especially because I have some friends that participate.
Nürburgring 24-hour would be cool. Le Mans 24-hour. I think those would be pretty cool.
All right. How many gearheads do you know outside of North America?
Probably a couple. I definitely know one in New Zealand.
Jamie.
Yep. But off the top of my head, well, we know Kayusha Dan.
Yes, we do. He's a fan.
But that's about it off the top of my head. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting anyone.
No, I know a few. We have our Mitsubishi friend in Australia as well.
Okay.
You put me on the spot because names are escaping me, even though I know his name. I just hate this like high pressure. I also know he listens to the show, so he's going to be mad at me. Jason Ward.
Okay.
He has a couple of he's got a sweet Galant coupe, like a 75 Galant coupe, and a Galant Sigma, which is like my Sapporo. Mm-hmm. And we definitely know some people from Canada. I have met our buddy Craig in Canada when we got Chris's Delica van.
Okay.
So Craig runs a Japanese import car company in Canada called Bonsai Cars. Mm-hmm. And I've met him in Canada before, so that's pretty cool.
All right.
But yeah, that's that.
All right. So
next question.
How do vehicle mods impact resale value, and how should they?
That's a loaded question.
Well, it depends on so there would be some mods to certain models that could theoretically improve the longevity and the desirability of the car. And then there are other stuff that somebody could do that could totally ruin the value of the car. I'm trying to think of an example.
Think like a cooling upgrade on a Pantera.
Yep.
Because they had crappy cooling systems from the factory.
Yep.
And you upgrade the cooling and the car becomes more drivable.
Yeah. Or like
versus stancing out,
throwing a blower on the Pantera or something.
Yes, exactly. That would ruin the value of the car.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it has to do with reversibility. I mean, if you throw a set of springs and a set of wheels and tires on a car, you're not really affecting the value of the car because it can be brought back to stock.
That wouldn't make me shy away from the value of a car.
Correct.
If you made the car look nicer with a set of wheels that I liked and lowered it slightly, like with just bolt-on parts,
I may pay you a little more for it because now I don't have to buy those parts that I would buy anyway.
Yeah, that wouldn't bother me.
And I've done that, actually. Like when we bought the '87 Audi 4000 that I had.
Yeah.
The guy had very specifically seeked out original '80s and '90s tuning parts for the car. So he had like the Jam-X springs, and he had the deep dish Renault wheels,
and he had swapped the Michel Mouton interior, the red interior.
Yep, and he had Jam-X sway bars, all kinds of stuff in the car that was period correct. And I paid a little more for that car than I would have if it didn't have.
Yeah, so it's totally situational.
Yeah, like, it's situational and buyer seller.
If you have this completely, the term like raced out is like, but like if you had the Subaru with all this, like if you just went through the entire catalog and got every accessory you could ever put on a Subaru, then
we're going to pay less for it.
Yeah, because they don't.
It also depends on the car too, because if you're talking about, I hate to say like an investment car because we don't buy investment cars.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about a numbers matching 72 911 RSR, you're going to have an issue even changing out springs, wheels, and tires because you're going to affect the value of that car because it's such a special car.
Yep.
If you're talking about a 72 911T, it's less of an issue because the car is less important in the world of those cars.
If you,
it's way too situational to
I mean, like on. It's the same thing. Like if you had an RX-7 and you already LS swapped it, I probably wouldn't even buy the car from you. No, because if I'm buying an RX-7, I'm buying it because of the rotary. That's the whole reason why I want it.
I don't know those. You're talking about the FDs, the third gens, any body style,
RX-7. I understand the reasons why you do it. But the reasons why I would want to own what makes that car special is the fact that it has a rotary engine, and that's interesting to me from an engineering standpoint. It makes me want the car.
A well-done engine swap, while not raising the value of the car, might not hurt it terribly on something like that. Maybe to you it doesn't appeal to you anymore.
An old muscle car with an LS swap.
Hold on,
I like.
If somebody has a 1984 Volvo 242 with an LS and a 6-speed in it,
yeah, I want that.
You're not going to be like, it doesn't have a 2.5 liter Volvo motor in it.
Exactly. I was going to do that anyways, and
right now you're possibly saving yourself a hassle if it's done right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's way too situational. I think that if it's a special car, leave it alone. If it's not a special car, do some non-reversible mods. Do some actually reversible mods. And if it's a car that you're aware there are plenty of, and you just want to build a hot rod, then break out the Sawzall and the torches.
All right. Let's keep going here. So, Joe Osborne asks, he says, 3 in the tree or 4 on the floor?
I'm going to say the same word again I said last time. It's situational.
I've never driven a car with a 3 in a tree.
You haven't?
No, I want to try it.
Oh, okay. It's really cool when you're talking a slow cruising car. If you were to build like a 50s, early 50s, late 40s Chevy, and drop it on the ground with some wide white walls and steel wheels, then yeah, you can go 3 in the tree.
Okay.
But 4 on the floor is certainly way more fun for beating around town. Like my Camaro was a 4-speed, M21 Muncie or M22 Muncie. And I can't imagine that being any other way because it makes you feel like makes you feel like a race car driver shifting that transmission.
Yep.
So what does Clutch call it? BBO, Bad Boys Only?
Yeah.
Jeremy Nutt says, Lotus Esprit, non-turbo, DeLorean, or Ferrari 308. So I assume this is
what you would prefer?
Is a choose one, or is it an FMK?
I don't know. It's probably choose one.
Okay. Well, choose one. The answer is very obvious.
Ferrari 308.
No.
What?
Lotus Esprit.
No way.
Yeah, Ferrari 308s are a maintenance nightmare.
I don't care. I want a Ferrari.
I mean, I get it, but to the average layperson, the Lotus is going to look enough like a Ferrari, and I'm going to have less repair bills.
A Lotus versus a Ferrari?
I'm not saying reliability is better. I'm saying the repair bill is lower.
I don't know.
It's a 4-cylinder British motor.
Okay.
Its architecture dates back to 1823.
It's a tractor.
Yeah, exactly. It's not an expensive motor to work on. It's a little more expensive than, say, an MG because it's got a twin cam head and stuff, but it's certainly a cheaper car to maintain.
I mean, the 308 is like a Dino, but not.
But it has the Ferrari tax when it comes to buying parts, and every Ferrari has it. Whether you pay $15 for the Ferrari or $1 million for the Ferrari,
I can wear a Hawaiian shirt. I can rip around in it.
The fuel filter and piston parts are going to cost the same.
Well, whatever. Definitely go with the Ferrari.
All right. Well, I'm going.
My dog's name is Enzo.
I'm going.
With the Ferrari.
I understand. My dog's name is Ollie. I'm going with the Lotus. Oliver needs to ride in the Lotus.
Please, sir, may I have another?
Yes. So that made a lot more sense when you said it. I never thought of that before, but I need a British car to take Ollie out in. Jeremy Nutt asks the second question. Mass is now putting cameras on inspection stations. Do you fear that inspectors will begin to turn away your vehicles because they are too risky to even be involved with it, even if they're legal? No.
No.
I mean, Andrew, what happened to you today? You don't want to tell the story?
No.
All right. Well, Andrew didn't get a sticker today. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
The station that you go to now that gives you a sticker is still going to give you a sticker. The rules haven't changed. There's not somebody monitoring every camera 24/7.
They're just double checking that they are
actually bringing the car in, actually plugging in the right car, actually walking around doing all the checks.
Yeah.
There's not some guy sitting there at a screen with some kind of a ruler, measuring your ride height on a camera, at some main central office. So it's not going to be an issue. It's way blown out of proportion. Like I said, the general rules are not changing. Your car has always had to have all its safety equipment functional. It's always had to have wipers. It's always had to have mirrors. It's always had to have good ball joints and tires. And none of that's going to change. So I don't think it's going to be an issue.
All right. So the next one is from Jordan Mellum. And him and his girlfriend are working on she's got a project car. So they're doing head work on a 66 Midget with a 1275. And they came across lots of backyard hack repairs. And that the car received from some previous owner. And he wants to know, what's the weirdest, most terrible previous owner hack you've come across on a project?
Well, I think yours is pretty easy on this one.
The Galant.
Yeah.
Like the nicest car I own right now.
Yeah.
Had the worst hacked engine harness ever.
House wire nuts everywhere.
House wire nuts. Wires that didn't even have wire nuts. They were just simply twisted together, not soldered, just twisted together by hand, and then electrical taped, and then daisy chained in this manner to make the wire long enough.
Yes.
Instead of just simply getting
a longer piece of
more wire and like butt connectors, because those are so expensive, and just crimping them. And it's like, come on, like.
I mean, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had too many hacked cars, I don't think.
No, that was definitely the worst one. Can't think of anything else.
I think most of the cars I've bought stock, so they haven't had any real, hackery done to them. I'd say the Raider that we bought at the junkyard might have been the biggest of the hacked cars, but even that, it wasn't that bad. It was just some minor stuff here and there, like the firing order being wrong and not running right.
Yeah.
But overall, I haven't really had any really hacked cars. I guess I'm lucky on that fact, but when you buy mostly stock vehicles, that's kind of what's going to happen, I guess. They haven't been mussed around with too much. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for that story because I haven't really had any.
All right.
I mean, actually, the NSU
had that weird ignition box in it.
That wasn't hacked in there, though, but the guy the widow of the man I bought the car from.
Weird bodywork to it.
Well, it's some weird bodywork, and the guy had started taking things apart. And he had developed like dementia and didn't really know what he was doing. So that was kind of not hacked, but kind of a mess. I had to put that car back together when we got it.
Yeah.
Remember, like the first week we were in your father's garage every night getting that car running.
Yeah.
So that's probably the closest I'd have. Yeah. No good stories. Sorry, Jordan. I'd like to know what exactly he's talking about on that midget, though. So.
Well, I think we're going to see it soon because we're going to go over there and watch them install it.
Yes, and we're going to have him on for his 4th episode.
Well, we'll have to
almost irregular.
Yeah, we'll have to have his girlfriend on too, Liz. So
of course.
Talk about a project car.
All right. Next question comes from Max Smith.
Yep.
What do you guys think of the new Eclipse Cross and the possible new electric Evo SUV that's being teased at the Japanese Auto Show?
Well, when the entire country wants crossovers, this is what
you build a crossover.
This is what you
yeah. I am behind anything that keeps the company alive. I I don't love the fact that it's the Eclipse, but it's no worse than the last 2 generation Eclipses being called
Eclipses.
Eclipses.
Dead for a long time.
They've already been pretty dead. I do like the fact that it's an all-wheel drive turbo car. Probably not a manual transmission available, but
honestly, I don't. There's some crossovers I don't hate.
No, I mean,
because they've really been making strides in them. I think what people have figured out, and what the car manufacturers have figured out, is that people want a car that you sit up slightly higher in, and still handles like a car. You just want to have that upright seating position.
Yeah,
and I think that's what.
I don't even know if it's the seating position. I think it's just the visibility.
I think it's
and a lot of mental.
I think it's the.
I feel like I'm in a car.
It's the upright seating position, like you're sitting in a chair at a table, and then by sitting up higher, you feel like you can see more, and therefore you feel.
Even though
safer.
Every car around you is now bigger as well, so you can't see any more than you could before.
Yes, but it's. I guess that's what people like. I guess they don't like that feeling of sitting on the floor. Like you get with a sports car.
Well, here's the thing. We will always have our old sports cars, and if Mitsubishi doesn't ever make another car I want to buy, I will not become any less of a Mitsubishi fan because they made all the cool stuff in the past that I like.
And they've been talking about a long time making an Evo hybrid or an Evo electric. And if it has...
And they've made an Evo SUV before, the Pajero Evo.
Yeah, and if it has technology from their Pikes Peak car that was like super, super fast... then I'm all for that. I can get behind that.
That's possibly a good idea. I don't know. I have no real thoughts on it yet because the picture they show of the Evo SUV looks pretty aggressively cool. So who even knows?
Kind of what Tesla's kind of way out ahead of the game, right, with electric cars. But eventually everybody's going to catch up.
Well, I'm looking at that picture that Max attached of the electric SUV. Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of like a Locomotives Rally Fighter.
Yeah.
And to me, that's an awesome car.
Yeah.
So
it could be pretty cool.
It could be pretty cool, yeah. Like a Rally Raid style Evo is not a bad thing, I don't think.
Nope.
So, I don't know. Like I said, I will always have my Colts and Starions, first-gen Eclipses and Galant VR4s. So I'm not worried about Mitsubishi's future cars because there aren't many manufacturers that are making anything today that I'd want to buy.
So. All right. Next one. Do you guys know of any Mitsubishi people attending the either Overland Expo in North Carolina or the Vermont Overland Rally, both next weekend?
That's John Rimmer asking the question.
John Rimmer, yes. We know there's at least 4 to 6 Monteros will be at the...
46 Monteros?
4 to 6 will at least be at VOR, and 1 ditch hooking Xterra to help pull us out. So
he's not going to need to pull any of us out because none of us are going to get stuck, all right?
Overland Expo, I'm not sure who's...
I think there are at least 6
there's
going
definitely
to
some Mid-Atlantic guys.
Yeah, we don't know a lot of the guys down there, unfortunately. We like to get to know them better if they're listening, but I haven't heard of anybody who's definitely going to that.
All right, so next question.
Jesse Eldridge, what was your worst I was young and dumb automotive story? Are we talking modification, or are we talking stupid thing we did in the car?
Let's go with modifications, I guess.
You will not criminalize yourself here? Incriminate yourself?
I mean...
I can think of 2 dumb stories that both you and I have done, and they're both pretty good.
All right, what are they?
Well,
I don't remember. Maybe I blocked it out.
Well, my favorite Andrew Young and dumb story probably has to be leaving Kelly's Roast Beef on Route 1.
Yeah.
And you had, unfortunately at the time, the slowest car of the group.
Yeah.
Because you had the SI.
Yep.
And I had an Evo, and we were with our other friend who had an Evo, and our other friend who had an STI.
Yeah.
And we all took off on Route 1 going way too fast because we were young and dumb. And we left you behind because your car was a little bit slower. But you were also young and dumb, so you were trying to catch up.
Yep.
And the second you emerged onto the highway, we were so far out of sight away from the police officer that you got pulled over for merging too quickly and accelerating too fast and not signaling to change lanes. So I remember getting to our destination, and like 35 minutes later, Andrew rolled in with like a $600 ticket.
It wasn't that high.
$500 ticket. It was a pretty big ticket. I remember that because it was marked lane violation, speeding, and not turn signaling all at the same time.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good night.
It was reduced.
It was. But again, this was 15 years ago, probably. Or it can't be that.
It's probably 20 years ago.
No, I had the Evo, so it was at least 03. Well, 4.
Yeah. How old am I now? I was probably 19, so.
Yeah, so you were young and dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was a good young and dumb story. And my best young and dumb was drifting around the Rotary, which is no longer there, at the train station. And not just like drifting around the Rotary, but like drifting laps around the Rotary. And unfortunately, the car caught traction and launched itself into the Rotary and into the middle of the grassy area of the Rotary, bending a wheel in half that I literally just put on the car.
No, there you go.
So that's probably my best young and dumb automotive story.
Right.
Juliet, Jake.
Yep.
Do you guys modify your model kits or mainly build them stock? Model kit season is upon us.
Yep.
The leaves are falling.
Yep.
We'll be building soon. Classic Plastics show is coming up soon, too.
I do maybe wheels.
Wheels and stance. We make the car sit a little better on the right side of the wheels.
Otherwise, I don't have enough skills to really modify it, or I mess it up and then I won't finish it. So stick with just out of the box with changing some wheels. Maybe if it's a race car, I do some alternate decals.
Kind of what we do with a real car.
Yeah.
Wheels and suspension. That's kind of our thing.
Yep.
That makes the biggest impact on a car. So I think it's our last question tonight.
That is our last question.
It's a good amount of questions.
It is good. Thank you
Starting to get a little
for listening.
A little tired there towards the end.
Yeah, we appreciate that you're interacting with us. It's really fun. It's good to be back to a full-length episode.
It is, and we're going to try to do our 2-a-week schedule back up again now that Andrew is done wedding planning.
Oh, I didn't do any wedding planning. That is all my wife.
Well,
she is 100% responsible for how much fun that wedding is.
We were back to our 2-a-week schedule now that Andrew is done wedding worrying.
Yes.
We'll put it that way.
Yes. So, please share us with a friend. Rate and review the podcast on iTunes. That will help us out. You can follow us on Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook, Auto Off Topic on Instagram. You can follow me, Race and Anger, on Instagram. And Brad.
You can follow me on my personal Instagram at TSISS350 or at Vintage Imports NE on Instagram.
Awesome. As always, thanks for listening and keep your cars analog.